soft study, ASMR. Now relax and let's begin. Cross-sectional research collects information at one point in time. It gives the researcher a snapshot of what is happening right now. For example, a researcher may ask university students about their stress levels during 1 week. The information is collected once, so this is cross-sectional research. Cross-sectional studies are useful because they are usually quick and inexpensive. For example, a researcher could compare stress levels in first year, second year, and third year students. However, cross-sectional research cannot show how the same people change over time. It also may not show which variable came first. For example, if stress and poor sleep are related, the researcher may not know whether stress caused poor sleep or poor sleep caused stress. The easy memory rule is cross-sectional means one snapshot in time. Now let us look at longitudinal research. Longitudinal research collects information at several points in time. The researcher follows the same people or the same population over a longer period. For example, a researcher may measure the same students' stress levels at the start of university, 1 year later, and again at graduation. This is longitudinal research because the data is collected more than once. Longitudinal studies are useful for studying change. However, longitudinal research takes more time and usually costs more money. Another problem is attrition. Attrition means participants leave the study before it is finished. For example, a study may begin with 500 people, but only 300 may still be taking part 3 years later. If the people who leave are different from the people who stay, the results may become less accurate. Longitudinal research can show change over time, but it does not automatically prove cause and effect. The easy memory rule is cross-sectional means one time point. Longitudinal means several time points. Now let us look at quantitative research. Quantitative research uses numbers. It measures things that can be counted or scored. For example, a researcher may measure anxiety using a score from 0 to 40. They may then compare the average anxiety scores of two groups. Quantitative research can answer questions such as, how many? How much? Are the groups different? Are the variables related? Examples include test scores, reaction times, age, height, and questionnaire scores. Quantitative research is useful because numbers can be compared using statistics. However, numbers may not fully explain a person's experience. For example, an anxiety score of 30 shows high anxiety, but it does not explain what the anxiety feels like in daily life. Now let us look at qualitative research. Qualitative research uses detailed information that is not mainly numbers. It focuses on people's experiences, thoughts, feelings, and meanings. For example, a researcher may interview people and ask, what is it like to live with anxiety? The participants answer in their own words. The researcher then looks for common ideas or patterns in the answers. These patterns may be called themes. Qualitative research often uses interviews, focus groups, open-ended questions, and observations. An open-ended question allows a person to answer in their own words. Qualitative research is useful because it gives rich, detailed information. However, qualitative studies often use smaller samples. The findings may not apply to everyone. The researcher's interpretation may also influence the results. Here is an easy comparison. Quantitative research asks, how much anxiety do people have? Qualitative research asks, What does living with anxiety feel like? Quantitative equals numbers. Qualitative equals words, meanings, and experiences. Here is an exam-style question. A researcher gives 1,000 adults a stress questionnaire and collects all the answers during 1 month. What type of timing design is this? It is cross-sectional because the data is collected at one point in time. If the questionnaire produces stress scores, is the data quantitative or qualitative? It is quantitative because the answers are turned into numbers. Here is another exam-style question. A researcher interviews the same 10 parents every year for 5 years about caring for a child with a disability. What type of timing design is this? It is longitudinal because information is collected over several years. Is a research quantitative or qualitative? It is qualitative because the parents describe their experiences in their own words. Final recap. Cross-sectional research collects data once. Longitudinal research collects data over several time points. Quantitative research uses numbers and statistics. Qualitative research uses words, meanings, and detailed experiences. Remember, one snapshot equals cross-sectional. Change over time equals longitudinal. Numbers equals quantitative. Words and experiences equals qualitative. Now relax, and I will see you in the next lesson.